Welcome back. You're listening to Find Out Extra on talkSPORT to Adi Oladipo, the great Gareth A. Davies. His Excellency Turki Alalshikh called in to talkSPORT early this week for a discussion with Jim White and Simon Jordan. Before we listen to that, Gareth, it's good that is now what it looks on the outside looking in to be mended. That talkSPORT and Saudi Arabia Riyadh season, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh, because as we know, look, we both work for talkSPORT, and talkSPORT, I think, do so much when it comes to boxing, and I think it's going to go bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think it's important that everyone gets sort of on side, if you like, and on the same side. So this is good that at least it seems like bridges are being mended.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we work in very similar pathways in the industry, and we've said for a long time it's what talkSPORT can do for the promotion of big events, and there's the fight fan listens to talkSPORT, so to have the whatever fissures or divides were there in the past healed is a very, very good thing, and obviously we know ourselves that there's an enormous reach, and if all the promoters are working together, all the broadcasters should be working together, and that includes radio and television. So it's very good news.
Yeah, fantastic news, and obviously it's good news as well to know that talkSPORT will be at the AJ versus Dubois fight card, and this is where we got talking with His Excellency Turki Alalshikh. This is what he had to say about funding fights on British soil.
First of all, give me another way to clean and fix the system. I am with you. We are spending a lot, yes, but this is what is necessary to build our name and clean the system and fix the system. In the future, I think even the price of the fighters is too high.
Agreed.
And the generation of the fighters who are getting a lot of money now is a couple of people. We have Tyson, we have Usyk, we have Joshua, we have, they less than 10%.
No, but it's across the board, Turkey. I mean, I know what you play, people like Nick Ball, and they wouldn't get that anywhere else if they weren't fighting on an undercut, and I have no problem with it. My worry is that, like, for example, Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley shouldn't have to fight a domestic fight, which are a British fight, between world title fights in Vegas or in Riyadh or in Madison Square Garden, no problem. But I'm looking further down the pyramid and say, why does Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley have to fight in Riyadh? I know why they have to fight, because the economics are so significant they can't turn it down. But that's a British domestic fight that ultimately should be able to be fought on these shores. So that's why I get slightly concerned about the long-term future. But I do agree with you. If you clean up this sport and deal with the Wild West that's there, because you've tried it in football, you can't buy football. The Saudis can't buy football. You can't buy golf. But you can buy boxing because it's the Wild West.
And clean it up.
And I think you'll be a force for good.
His Excellency there speaking to Simon Jordan and Jim White. Firstly, do you think, and I was just thinking this, obviously, look, we were in LA, at the BMO Stadium for Terence Crawford Madrimov, and that had, and by the way, incredible atmosphere. Everything about that night was fantastic, but it was only 20,000 odd in there. There's going to be near 100 at Wembley Stadium, near 100. Do you think he'll be shocked and surprised by just the magnitude of that event?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the whole Riyadh season, well, apart from the fact that they are underwriting it and it's a Riyadh season edition card and it wouldn't happen without them. It could happen without them, but it isn't happening without them. We know that huge fights in the UK can generate massive numbers. They want to break the record here. They've asked for an augmented license for like over 96,000. I think they'll be really ambitious once they've seen it. It's an incredible stadium to be at for a boxing event. I don't know how many I've been to now. As was Tottenham Hotspur, as was the Millennium Stadium, frankly. The 7-8 stadium fights, 7 or 8 that we've had with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury in the last decade, and obviously the one with Froch and Groves back in 2014, I think it was now, have shown us that there is an attitude and an aptitude for giant stadium fights in the UK when the right fights are in place, and it's largely the heavyweights. I just think it'll fuel their ambition, Eddie, the Saudi Arabian ambition. It'll fuel their ambition to try and generate similar atmospheres in their own territories. So only good things will come from it, in my view. It's a massive moment in time. I'm not surprised Eddie Hearn is really chuffed about it. He's done some huge fights there. Frank Warren, of course, with Tyson Fury and Dillian White, created another major moment. So, I mean, it's a very exciting prospect to be going into that fight week. Excuse me. I think the whole week will be fantastic. I think there'll be a lot written front, middle, and back, and I think there'll be broadcast teams. We'll be doing a lot on it. It's going to be enormous.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible, and it's almost gone up another level now with the inclusion of Liam Gallagher, especially when you hear about the announcement of Oasis and now reforming. It's almost perfect timing that Oasis have reformed, and yet Liam Gallagher is going to play out a few songs very similar to what Eminem did in LA. Liam Gallagher is going to do a few songs as well that night. So the night just got bigger. If you felt like it couldn't get bigger, it's now gone even bigger.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing behind the scenes, I don't know if it's out there, that His Excellency is trying to persuade them to come together for the first time, even at that event, Liam and Noel. So, it's great. I mean, promoters are coming together, family internecine sibling rivalries being healed. What more do we want? But I know there's more to talk about on this, so I'll let you lead me into it.
There is. One of the big talking points that came out of this interview between Turkey and Simon and Jim was about fighter pay. But it's funny, right? Because when you think fighter pay, you think of the negative connotations because of when you hear fighter pay, you think of UFC and Dana White underpaying. And this was a discussion about overpaying, which is quite rare in the sport of boxing. Undercard fighters getting overpaid. But I guess that there is probably a problem with this because it kind of distorts the market, doesn't it? The market value of a fighter. And he spoke about this as well, and Simon spoke about this. And look, he admitted, and you heard it there, that he probably is overpaying. And you've kind of, I guess, early in your development into sport, you've maybe got to overpay a little bit. Do you almost feel like this is going to be a problem going forward, or is it something that's almost going to smooth itself out after a year or 18 months or so?
Well, I agree with you on what you just said, but I'll use different words for it. I mean, obviously, Simon's a money man. Money is part of his thing. It's, what he always talks about, because obviously football and money go hand in hand. He's not wrong on that. And as you say, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh does agree with him on that. But any startup, if you call it that, is going to want major investment. And he explained it, that their goal is to try and draw a new generation, which goes along with this lower fee for pay-per-view fights, or keeping it at £20 for British fans. It's a big market for them, the UK, because obviously it's a huge fan. There's a huge fan base in the UK that can still be stimulated. That whole football market, football fans coming to the big fights, and I think when it comes to boxing, having been involved in it a long time, some people come along who draw extraordinary interest from the public and earn more naturally. It's Machiavellian, isn't it? Market forces will always dictate what people are paid. Yes, it is inflated at the moment, but and it will recede because they're not going to be giving this amount of money out forever. That they will want it to be self-sustaining in lots of ways. If it isn't, then we are going to see a drop. We see recessions in things. That is market economy. They are investing in a sport that they believe in, that he believes in at the moment. So it will naturally play out. I mean, I think you can't say there's too much money being paid to boxers, because boxers should earn as much as they possibly can at any time they're possibly fighting. It's a brutal, visceral, unforgiving business in which people give parts of themselves, literally parts of themselves, in order to earn money for their families and themselves. So, when the money is there, you've got to take it. And it is there at the moment. And I think there will be a drop off, I think, at some point, but we'll have to deal with that when we come to it. Hopefully, by then, boxing is back in a self-sustaining place, because fans know that the best fights are going to be made, Eddie. And they've got the Super League idea. So if it does work, it'll be brilliant. If it doesn't, we will just move to the next iteration of it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. If there's money to be made, the fighters should be making it. It's that simple. Because as you say, it isn't always there. So when it is there, take it and make as much as you can, because this is the most dangerous sport in the world. And they do leave a bit of themselves in the ring all the time. Even the greatest fighters do. You spoke about pay-per-view, and he spoke about it as well. Let's hear what Turki Alalshikh had to say about his strategy regarding pay-per-view prices.
I think, as an example, I will give you an example. I prefer to have a 1 million subscribe and pay-per-view with £20
than 500,000 with 40. I agree. Yeah.
Or less than 500,000. Now with technology and with a lots of things in the social media, the people go around it illegally. Some people, because the price is high, and this is in the future will not build the boxing. If I give the customers good fight with good price,
you'll get volume.
I will increase the fans base, and in the future we will go step by step.
Very interesting this, just because we know that the average price over here is 20 quid. It's kind of flirted up to 25 in recent years with the big AJ fights and the Fury fights. But I'm more interested about what he said about the price worldwide, because he spoke about the price worldwide and trying to lower that to $20, which I find intriguing, because I've always felt like the American pay-per-view price model is crazy, like bananas. $90, $100, $75. It's just whatever. It's just a stupid amount. Is that even possible? Because the American market's been so overinflated over the years, how possible is it to bring that down to $20? Considering, again, like Canelo's fight against Belanga is on DAZN, and I think that's $79.99.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird that we're paying £20 here generally, like you say, or £25 sometimes, $24.99, and they are paying those extraordinary figures. I think it reached its peak with Pacquiao, Mayweather,
and Conor and Floyd as well.
Conor and Floyd, which was about $100, I think it was.
yeah, it was $100.
Yeah, I know, and we've had this conversation in many press rooms and with many fans when we're over there, that you really have to pay that much, and they do. I think it will stop more piracy. I think it will lessen piracy, and if they can set that benchmark for around the world, I think it will draw more fans. I think it will, but it's certainly a fascinating strategy that, again, no television network, no streaming service in America could have set that limit. And if it's successful, it could be one of the big coups. Like you say, I thought that immediately as well. Wow, the Americans are going to enjoy that. And it's a good thing that they are thinking about it all the time. They're devising ways to try or strategizing on how to bring more fans back to the market with the biggest fights, make it price worthy. And as you know, they want to try and get it on one platform globally as well, which is a great idea.
Yeah, good news as well for fight fans about Bivol Beterbiev, because we've been told that one's going to be £15 in the UK, and they're trying to do $15 worldwide. So let's not say they're not trying, because they certainly are. All right, you're listening to Find It Extra on talkSPORT 2.